The best Sooner recruiting and football news with Parker Thune and Grayson Singleton.
You better lock it up. No, you lock it up. You lock it up. Lock it up.
Hit the guys up on the Riverwind Casino call-in line at 405-329-9000 or text the show on the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line at 405-651-3439.
Do it! Just do it!
Now, with Locked In, here's Parker Thune and Grayson Singleton.
How you like them apples?
That was pretty damn good, wasn't it?
The University of Oklahoma, ladies and gentlemen, may be back. Feels weird to use that phrasing because it's almost inextricably linked with Texas now. But covering this team might be fun again, Grayson Singleton. It might be fun to cover this 2025 Oklahoma Sooners football operation.
Thune, it was 1 year. Well, I guess it's been 2, 6, and 7 years.
Yeah.
It's been 2.
And even 2023, it was climactic at the beginning. It reached its zenith with that triumphant win over Texas. But there was some legit dissension down the stretch, even before the back-to-back losses to Kansas and Oklahoma State happened. It all kind of started
fair.
It all kind of started the weekend of the SMU game.
Yeah.
As early as non-conference play when there was the whole Art Briles fiasco. So 2023, it was a good year record-wise for Oklahoma. Wasn't necessarily the smoothest ride. And look, odds are this ride isn't going to be perfectly smooth for Oklahoma because they have 8 more ranked matchups awaiting them. They get Temple this weekend. They get Kent State first weekend of October. Other than that, they will not play another game against an unranked opponent for the remainder of the campaign.
Even Mizzou's ranked.
I know, which is shocking to me because I don't think that team is any good.
You still don't think that team's very good?
No, I do not.
Look,
but they're 2-0, so
what we do know is that college football is a sport with no preseason, and they put up 41 points in week 2 against a Power 4 team. So you got to take that for something, even though Kansas isn't very good.
I tell you, man, and we're going to dig into recruiting a little bit later on in the show because the ramifications of Oklahoma's win over Michigan on Saturday are myriad. But what a show that was on Saturday. And we talked about it going in. But this had the potential to be an absolute home run of a recruiting weekend. With as many elite dudes as the Sooners had on campus, if you made a strong impression, both relationally as well as with regard to the product on the field and the environment, you could send pretty much everybody home on Sunday with a glowing impression of the University of Oklahoma. And as far as those boxes are concerned, check, check, check. The Sooners hit them all, man. Were you in the building on Saturday?
I was not.
Okay.
I was not. But it looked electric.
Man, that was as good of an environment as I have witnessed in my time on the beat at Oklahoma, which goes back to 2019. So I have not seen Owen Field like that start to finish in a football game in 6 years, going on 7. It was phenomenal. And John Mateer brought the goods, man. It wasn't perfect. Made a couple mistakes, threw an interception. Not really sure, kind of like in week 1, not really sure whether it's his fault or whether it's Will Huggins' fault.
Yeah, I feel like that one was on him.
Yeah.
And I mean, he just airmailed it. Not a huge deal, but
not a huge deal.
But he airmailed his target.
But look, man, he ran tough all night, 19 carries, 74 yards, 2 touchdowns. Had another strong evening through the air, 21 of 34. And a 9-yard touchdown pass to Deion Burks, which, by the way, we have not talked near enough about Deion Burks today.
I 100% agree.
Deion Burks delivered. Because, man, that dude put the bulletin board material up the previous Saturday when, after the win over Illinois State, he had the soundbite that went pseudo-viral. He's like, hey, I'm from Michigan. This one's personal to me. Michigan never recruited me. I went to Purdue. I could have been a Wolverine, but they didn't want me. I want to beat these guys. I'm paraphrasing, obviously, but that was the essence of the message that Deion Burks delivered. And he comes out. He cracks the 100-yard threshold. He's on the receiving end of John Mateer's only passing touchdown of the night. and played almost inarguably by every measure his best game as a Sooner thus far.
Yeah, and I'm so glad he went out and said it's personal because athletes these days, and I interview athletes a lot, athletes these days are way too media trained. they are. They're way too media trained, and as a result of that, a lot of times they're boring. But I'm glad he went out and said, they didn't recruit me. That's a fact. Can we get back to where we are comfortable stating facts? I'm from Michigan. I wanted to go to Michigan. Michigan didn't want me. Here I am. I want to beat the hell out of them. That's more than okay. And he delivered. I'll tell you somebody else. That's something else that resonated with me. If you're trying to recruit offensive linemen and if you are trying to recruit corners, that was a fantastic game to put on tape. Because in that game, you showcased a true freshman left tackle who made his first start and played pretty well. You had a freshman corner making start number 2 in a collegiate uniform and played awesome. If you want to demonstrate, hey, if you're good enough as a freshman, we're going to get you on the field, look no further than that game right there in terms of a recruiting side.
I am absolutely hammered on the Cortland Guillory Kool-Aid. I was already tipsy. I'm absolutely hammered after that game on Saturday.
He's pretty good.
I think he's the best cornerback that Oklahoma has. I think he's the best cornerback that I've seen wear an Oklahoma uniform in a decade plus. Maybe 2. And I know that's high praise for a true freshman, but
when's the last time Oklahoma had a great corner?
Well, and that's what I'm saying. Generally speaking, even the best cornerbacks that Oklahoma has had in recent memory have been modest, late round NFL draft projections.
Cortland Guillory is looking like he will be a second-round pick at worst.
He checks every freaking box. Physically, he's got the size, he's got the length. Technically, he's got the agility, the change of direction, the hips. He's got the physicality, and he's got the attitude, man. Mm-hmm. He has the perfect freaking attitude for that position. And I don't really know how to describe it other than to say he plays like a dude that knows exactly how good he is. Yeah. Exactly how good he is.
Yeah.
He doesn't think he's better than he is, nor does he think he's not as good as he is. He knows exactly how good he is.
He plays within his own technique, and he plays within the system. He doesn't try to do too much, but he also knows he's good enough to take chances. He knows he's good enough to be physical. And the interesting thing about Cortland Guillory is I am so excited for when SEC play comes, when you're going to be going up against receiver and quarterback combinations and also better offensive coordinators, which I don't know if y'all have gotten into this at all, but Chip Lindsey and Sharon Moore should feel ashamed of themselves today. I mean, my God, they were awful. But when it comes to Guillory, he's going to be a dude that you want to watch and you have a red eye on every single day. Every single time Oklahoma steps on the field, what is number 4 going to bring? Because if he stays healthy and he improves, this is a top 15 pick in the draft whenever he's eligible. He is that good.
Cornerback is kind of the one position where, again, if you look at the last decade of Oklahoma football, it's kind of the one position where the Sooners haven't really had a dude. They've had good players. Trey Brown was good. Woody Washington, especially earlier in his career at Oklahoma, was good. Kind of felt like he plateaued toward the end, but he was good. I genuinely don't know. Do you have to go all the way back to Derek Strait?
You might.
For the last absolute dog that Oklahoma had at the cornerback position? And here's the thing, Grayson. We're talking so much about Cortland Guillory, and rightfully so, but Oklahoma's not far off from getting Eli Bowen back.
Mm-hmm.
Gentry Williams has played well the first couple of weeks. This cornerback room genuinely looks like it's going to be a strength for Oklahoma the rest of the way. And, man, Illinois State threw for 34 yards on this Oklahoma defense. Bryce Underwood completed all of 9 passes.
You want to know my thoughts on Bryce Underwood?
Yeah, let me hear him.
I told you Sharon Moore and Chip Lindsey should be ashamed of themselves. They did not do that kid any favors. And I don't understand this for the life of me. why you bring in, because Steve Sarkisian did this in week 1 against Ohio State. Why do you bring in big name, big talented quarterbacks, pay them a bunch of money, and then have the handcuffs on them all game? I mean, Michigan kept trying to run into a brick wall all game long, and I mean, it was the most stubborn coaching job I've ever seen. They never opened it up. They hardly pushed the ball downfield, and when they did, Bryce Underwood made some plays. So I don't think he was set up very well, but to that point, Brent Venables ran laps around the Michigan offensive staff. He did. I mean, he absolutely did, some of it by Michigan's own volition, but Oklahoma had an excellent game plan for what they assumed Michigan was going to do. Michigan did the predictable. Michigan never deviated away from the predictable. And in turn, it didn't set up their quarterback for the most success he could have.
On the text line saying Aaron Colvin. Yeah, I think I'm comfortable with that. Cortland Guillory's the best OU corner I've seen since Aaron Colvin.
Someone went all the way back to Ricky Dixon.
Yeah, well, we'll see.
We'll see.
Probably a little early for that kind of hype, but
say Ricky Dixon was cold.
Chris from Knoxville says Moore and Lindsey didn't let Underwood throw because our D-line was kicking Michigan's tail and he didn't have time to throw. And that's what creates such a nightmare going up against this Oklahoma defense, is because if you get in a situation where you have to throw the ball, our Mason Thomas is just going to pin his ears back and come off the edge with fire under his belly. And obviously, he's not the only one that can get to the quarterback. Marvin Jones can get to the quarterback. Taylor Wine can get to the quarterback.
What should we make? What should we make before I do respond to that text? What do we make of Taylor Wine taking the first snap at defensive end opposite of our Mason Thomas and not Marvin Jones Jr.?
I don't know if I make really anything of it.
Okay.
I mean, to me, like, you're going to see both those guys on the field a lot, regardless of who is the quote-unquote starter. So between Wine and Jones at that position, it's almost like the defensive tackle conversation, right, where there will be plenty of junctures throughout the game at which you see Jaden Jackson, Dominic Williams, Grayson Halton, David Stone all in turn, all situationally depending on how the scenario or how their strengths are suited to the scenario, I suppose. But there was one play that Bryce Underwood made in the first quarter. I was like, okay, that's yep.
Uh-huh. I know which one you're talking about.
Where he rolls out on 3rd and long and he makes Gentry Williams make a decision.
Uh-huh. And then fires a seed. And why did they not do more of that? People on the text line are like, well, Grayson, you should listen to Teddy. He would have been killed. Here's my point. The offensive coordinators weren't creative. They didn't get him out in a moving pocket. They didn't get him rolling out where he can clearly throw on the run. They did no misdirection. They did no deception. They did nothing. They just ran straight into a brick wall. They didn't even try to utilize Bryce Underwood's strengths. I don't think.
Yeah. I haven't gotten the chance to rewatch the game from the all-22 angle yet.
I'm
going to do that later today.
You don't even have to watch the all-22. Just watch the normal broadcast. And you can see how uncreative it was.
It was it lacked a lot of creativity. But, Weston Sooner on the text line says, listen to a Michigan podcast after the game, and he said Sharon knew his line couldn't block our D-line, and if they opened it up, Underwood would get killed.
Exactly. But what do you do when you know your offensive – I mean, we talked about this leading up to the game this week from the Oklahoma standpoint. If you're not sure your offensive line is going to be able to hold up against the defensive line, you got to do things that scheme around that weakness. There are a myriad of examples of creative enough play callers, Ben Arbuckle being one of them, by the way. He didn't just run into a brick wall. He didn't just leave John Mateer sitting there in the pocket. He helped his offensive line out by moving the pocket, using the perimeter and whatnot, and using some misdirection. Michigan did not do that at all. They were blasé but vanilla, and I texted you this during the game, Parker. I don't know if you never responded. I don't know if you saw it. I don't know if you had service.
I had no service down there. I got the text and tried to respond, and I couldn't.
Michigan's play calling looked eerily reminiscent to Oklahoma under Seth Luttrell last year. That's what it looked like. Yeesh. Completely uncreative.
Yeesh. By the way, thank you, Matt, for more. The other thing I have earmarked for this afternoon is I want to go and watch the study that Aaron Murray did on John Mateer's performance against Michigan. But apparently Aaron Murray in the study said the interception was on Huggins, Because in single high coverage, you run straight up the field with no bend to the middle. Huggins bent. Mateer threw it straight up the field where he would have been had he went up the hash. I will take Aaron Murray's word for that.
Sure.
And, yeah, that knowing that makes me feel even a little bit better about John Mateer's performance on Saturday.
I agree.
Because in the moment, you're like, oh, that wasn't great. But outside of that, man, he was a dog. And I thought the crowning achievement for Oklahoma's offense on the night, it wasn't the opening drive, although that was impressive. It was the closing drive.
100%.
It was that last offensive possession because I haven't seen Oklahoma do anything of that ilk in the entirety of the Brent Venables era yet. They punished Michigan's defense for the majority of the fourth quarter. That was an 8-minute-plus drive where they just milked that clock and won the battle at the line of scrimmage and got exactly what they needed to get on third down over and over and over again to move the chains and keep that clock burning. I have not seen an Oklahoma offense capable of doing that specifically, in quite a while. And I think that is, first and foremost, a testament to the play of the offensive line.
Yes.
And Michael Fasusi got a lot of the headlines, I guess, in the aftermath of the game. Rightfully so. Freshman making his first career start at left tackle, going up against Derek Moore. He held his own, man. He played really good ball. But I don't want that to overshadow the performance of the rest of the offensive line because those guys brought it all night as well.
They absolutely did. And if they can bottle that and have a consistent run game over the course of 4 quarters, OU's offense could be elite. That's what they could be. They could move this team into the conversation of the top 10 in the AP rankings.
There's just so much from this game to dissect. So much good. And it's refreshing because I don't know that we've had this much good to dissect on both sides of the ball from a football game since 2023 at least. Maybe longer. Alabama win was great last year, but it was a really, really niche game plan that you kind of figure, okay, it worked against Alabama. Not sure that it will work against hardly anybody else on any given night. This was an awesome performance for Oklahoma. An awesome performance in front of 100-plus recruits, a lot of whom are elite dudes that the program would love to add to the fold in the 26, 27, and 28 cycles, respectively. So we'll start to dig a little bit into the recruiting impact on the other side. Keep it right here on The Ref. You're listening to Locked In on the home of Sooner fans.
Purple Wave Auction remains the trusted leader in online equipment auctions. What makes the difference is you. You are part of our growing global community that continues to trust Purple Wave with the equipment that builds and feeds America. This trust placed in us by our community, from construction to ag producers and fleet drivers, brings great equipment opportunities to their next owners. Join the Purple Wave community today. purplewave.com.
Oklahoma DRS helps job seekers with disabilities become taxpayers.
Their whole thing is to help people with disabilities go back to work.
They knew that I would be successful if I did not give up.
They have given me the power and confidence to face any challenge.
I'm just glad that, DRS was there. Empower yourself. Talk to DRS Vocational Rehabilitation
Or services for the blind today.
OKDRS.gov. 800-487-4042.
The TSET Healthy Youth Initiative is making a difference in every corner of Oklahoma, working to prevent teen tobacco and vape use, fueling our minds and bodies through health education, and empowering the next generation of leaders. Why? Because we are the future of Oklahoma. The TSET Healthy Youth Initiative, investing in Oklahoma. Learn more at tsethealthyyouth.com. Brought to you by the Tobacco Settlement Endowment Trust.
Hey, it's Mike Steele here for my friend Gary and the great staff at Cabins Group. After all the rain in the spring and now with temperatures on the rise, you might have a problem with mold growing in your home or business. Let the staff at Cabins help you before it becomes a major issue. Don't forget, Cabins can help you with water emergencies and biohazard cleanup 24 hours a day. Call Cabins today at 405-573-3048 or visit them online at cavensgroup.com.
It's more than a golf tournament. It's a chance to change lives. The St. Jude Oklahoma Golf Classic, presented by Bob Moore Infinity, is coming to Oklahoma City on October 20th. Tee off with us and support groundbreaking research and care for kids fighting cancer, where families never receive a bill. Spots are limited. Don't wait. Visit stjude.org/OKGolfClassic to sign up or become a sponsor. Whether you're swinging a club or sponsoring a hole, you're making a difference. Sign up now at stjude.org/OKGolfClassic.
This is Jake Aldridge, partner at Aldridge Teasdale. We know accidents happen when you least expect them, but if you're injured, your path to recovery and justice starts with the right attorney by your side. At Aldridge Teasdale, we understand that every injury is personal and that every story matters. You deserve an advocate who will fight for you. But don't wait. If you need medical assistance, you need to get it now, and we can help you with access to the best doctors in Oklahoma. Call Aldridge Teasdale today, 405-447-HURT. That's 405-447-4878.
What's up, Ref Army? Darinoka here, the SEC Network, and your newest host here at the Ref, the home of Sooner fans. Spend your late mornings with me and Josh Helmer every weekday from 9 to noon as we talk everything Sooners, and I'll help you all keep tabs on what's happening in the rest of the SEC. The Ref is the home for the best coverage of anything and everything Sooners, and you can listen worldwide on the KREF app. Check us out in your Apple or Google Play store by searching for KREF, and take us anywhere you go. That's the KREF app for the Ref, the home of Sooner fans.
Hands are how we give. Hands are how we receive. To lend a hand and to hand it off. Hands are how we transform and how we redistribute. Our community needs a helping hand these days, and the United Way of Norman is there to offer it. From emergency services to vocational programs to grief counseling for the youth, the United Way connects your gift with the programs that will have the greatest impact on improving the lives of everyone in the community. Make your donation today and raise your hand for your community. Learn how you can give United at unitedwaynorman.org.
Quick aside here, Mr. Singleton, as our resident expert on all things Aggie. Is Mike Gundy cooked? Is it over? It feels over.
Mike Gundy wants it to be over. I mean,
I genuinely don't know if I've ever seen a more lopsided game between two P4 opponents than what we saw on Saturday between Oregon and Oklahoma State. Even when Kansas was at the absolute cellar of its misery, the absolute low point.
Yeah.
I mean, they were losing by 50 to everyone. But that game could have been 100-3 if Dan Lanning wanted it to be.
Dog. This is 2 years in a row where they're not going to be competitive. They will not be competitive this year. They weren't competitive last year. And Mike Gundy's complete disdain for the do changes in college football put them behind the 8 ball. I mean, he and Dabo Swinney think the same thing and each had a choice. And Dabo Swinney decided, you know what, I kind of like being on the top of college football. I think I'll have to rock with this. And Gundy's gone the completely opposite way. He looks disinterested too.
And because it's Oklahoma State, you know the next coach will be the least sexy coach of all time. Oklahoma State head coach Pat Fitzgerald.
Oh, God.
Lock it in. December 2025, folks, coming to Stillwater.
I don't know if they get it done, but here's who I think they should go after. They should go after Zach Robinson.
Yeah, that makes all the sense in the world.
They should absolutely go after Zach Robinson. I don't know if they will, but I do think this is Mike Gundy's last year. I think he will step down at the end of this year, and if he tries to come back, I think they will get rid of him because they tried to this past offseason.
As we shift back to Oklahoma here, I think arguably the most encouraging thing about the victory over Michigan on Saturday night, Grayson, was that all told, Oklahoma didn't really play all that well.
No.
I graded that as a B- football game in an overall sense. There were some very strong individual performances, but there were also some very big mistakes that, against an opponent that offered a little more resistance than Michigan did Saturday, would have loomed a lot larger.
I can probably think of, let's say, 4 teams on Oklahoma's remaining schedule that they would have lost that game to with some of those mistakes. They were ill-timed mistakes too. Like, the gravity of how that game could have turned with those mistakes was massive. Now, they've got time to clean it up. It's week 2, sport with no preseason, no big deal. but you can't be muffing kicks and running into just running full steam into punters. Whatever the hell that was on the kickoff with Jaden Ott, that was interesting. And then Tate Sandell missed a field goal.
He did.
So, we all thought Oklahoma special teams was back. We have to put a pause on that.
Hey, Grayson
for
Miller
another
looks
week.
great, though. Shout out to Grayson Miller.
He did look good.
Who was playing NAIA soccer at Lubbock Christian University in 2022.
He 47 yards per punt. Was that what it was?
47 yards per punt.
Pretty good.
I wonder if he was at that OU Tech game in 2022. Y'all remember that one, right? OU jumps out to a 24-6 lead and then winds up losing 51-48 in double overtime. Not great. Not great. Individual shout-outs, though. Obviously, we talked about John Mateer. We talked about Deion Burks. We talked about Michael Fasusi. Jaron Kanik, man. That dude's become a legit weapon for Oklahoma.
Yeah.
Number 2 nationally among tight ends in receiving through 2 weeks. And, okay, it's 2 weeks. But Jaron Kanik looks better than I expected him to look. I think he looks better than a lot of people expected him to look. And he, like Oklahoma as a team, hasn't played his best football yet. He fumbled in week 1. He had a touchdown pass glance off his fingertips in week 2. He can still get better. He can still play better. But he's made more of an impact than I've seen a tight end make at Oklahoma since Braden Willis in 2022. And it's only been 2 games of the Jaron Kanik tight end experience.
I said this when I started off the post game before Tyler and Travis hopped on. The amount of importance in that Jaron Kanik one-handed catch cannot be overstated. Because if he doesn't make that catch, that's 3 and out on the opening drive, and they're punting the ball away. The rest of the game was a slugfest. So you don't know how many more opportunities you are going to get, and that really set the tone for the game. They go down the field, score a touchdown. That puts you way ahead of the 8 ball, especially when you're going up against a true freshman quarterback on the road whose coaches handcuffed him.
Shout out to Torrey Blaylock, who had a modest 9 carries for 24 yards. But the fact that he played, like the amount of times last year that there were guys that were expected to play on Monday of a given week and then wound up not playing on Saturday. Like when you deal with as much of that as we dealt with last year, it gives you all the more appreciation for a guy who comes into Monday of a given week with the expectation that he's not going to play, and then he winds up giving it a go on Saturday. So, props to Torrey Blaylock for playing.
I agree with you, but I wish we wouldn't compare it to the guys from last year. Because we all know what kind of conversation that's going to start.
And it's not, to be clear, like it's not their fault.
Right. No, I know what you're talking about, but I would stay away from that. But no, absolutely. How was he able to play?
They put a big old harness on his shoulder. You saw it, But he's also just tough as nails.
I don't know how many I don't know how much you guys have talked about this today so far. What the hell's going on with Jaden Ott?
See, and that's one thing. I have no doubt we'll unpack that later on in the week because that conversation point's not going anywhere. Jaden Ott has 5 carries for 6 yards on the year, folks. 5 carries for 6 yards. But hey, Torrey Blaylock looks like an answer. And Javonte Barnes bounced back. Shout out to Javonte Barnes.
Looked pretty good.
Hat tip to you, sir. Owen Heineke.
Dog.
Hello.
Dog.
Come on. Brent Venables did not lie in August when he said repeatedly, Owen Heineke's going to play a lot for us. We like where he's headed. You're talking about a redshirt junior walk-on who had never hardly played a snap outside of special teams in his career at Oklahoma. Transferred here from Ohio State, where he originally went to play lacrosse in 2021. And now here he is. I mentioned this in the 12 o'clock hour. I'll mention it again. Is he kind of a silent beneficiary of Kanik's transition to tight end? Is he getting the opportunities that he's gotten through 2 weeks if Kanik doesn't switch from linebacker to tight end? Because there's a real good chance the Oklahoma staff would still be trying to make it work with Jaron Kanik at linebacker. So moving Jaron Kanik to tight end has worked out for Kanik. it's also created an opportunity for Owen Heineke that he has taken full advantage of.
It has worked out for John Mateer, it's worked out for Kanik, and it's worked out for Heineke as well. And the one thing that stands out to me about Heineke is right place and effort. He always makes an effort to get to the right. He's always in the right place where he needs to be. And if you're always in the right place, I had coaches tell me this all the time when I was playing. If you can just do what we ask you to do and be in the right place, everything else will take care of itself. And I think that's the takeaway from Owen Heineke. It's smart, instinctual player. Yes, he's white. That's not where I'm going with this.
Lunch pail dude.
Anyway,
first guy in, last guy out.
Shut up, Parker. but I mean he's an excellent player. He's an excellent player in that right because he's a great football mind. He's coachable, and it always stands out that he's never in the wrong place. He's always where he needs to be.
How about this one to wrap it up? Hat tip to Ben Arbuckle. Sir, you passed the first test with flying colors. Flying colors. Ben Arbuckle had to go toe-to-toe with Wink Martindale. And Wink Martindale is no slappy of a defensive coordinator. That's for darn sure.
Mm-hmm.
Arbuckle had a banger of an opening play script. Sooners go right down the field, jump out to a 7-0 lead. They put together that drive at the end of the first half to double the lead going into the intermission. And then again, I come back to the final drive of the game. Final offensive possession for Oklahoma. Obviously discounting the one kneel down from John Mateer at the end. But 16 plays, 78 yards.
Masterful.
Almost 8.5 minutes of clock time eaten. Yup. Ben Arbuckle, you earned your paycheck for the month with that one.
So I'm going to say he passed the test. I'm not going to say flying colors, and here's the only reason why. That run game was still not good. It was before the final possession. It was not good. If you take John Mateer out of it and you go just with running backs here, between Barnes, Blaylock, and Ott, you have 19 carries for what looks like 57 yards. Not great. Not great. About 3 point whatever yards per carry. So that's got to be better. But I thought you could see the coaching, and here's why. The opening play script. If an opening play script like that, where you go right down the field, that's good coaching. That is good game planning throughout the week because that's all a script. And he went boom, boom, boom. And he also scripted up a game plan that played on his team's strengths and minimized their weaknesses coming into the game. And so he excellent for me. A- job, in my opinion, from Ben Arbuckle this week.
A 580 listener from Canton, Oklahoma, who has never sent a text before today, shot us a message and said, I thought this was a recruiting hour, Parker. Well, it is a football and recruiting hour. And on Mondays, after OU football, we are going to talk about the game, at least for the first portion of the show. But now that we've acknowledged all of the individuals that need to be acknowledged for their performances, their individual performances in Oklahoma's victory over Michigan, let's talk a little bit about the recruiting impact of what we just witnessed. First and foremost, Grayson, I think it's pretty well understood because, boy, has it made the rounds on social media in a hurry and become the subject of a lot of expert predictions from national analysts. The Sooners jumped into the driver's seat for 4-star 2027 wide receiver Damari DeJearn out of Palisades, California. So L.A. area, the kid can run. He's not very big, 5'10", but boy, can he run. We're talking 10.3 in the 100 meters here, folks. And this is a kid that provided the Sooners sustain the current momentum and nothing goes haywire. He could be a member of Oklahoma's 2027 class very soon here.
Okay, so I was responding to a pretty incendiary comment on the YouTube. So, who are we talking about again?
Damari DeJearn.
Okay, that's who I thought. Yeah, if you like fast people, you'll like this dude. By the way, he returns kicks and does so.
I would hope so.
And does so. It does so very well.
Yes.
Sorry, I was wildly distracted because somebody said something crazy. But dude has an outstanding skill set. And also a very versatile one too. Sort of like the skill set that we saw, and I know this might be a little bit of a sore comparison right now, to Jaden Ott. Versatile out of the backfield as running back. Very shifty between the tackles, and then also presents that ability to return kicks. So yeah, like, if you like fast, shifty people, which I know Jim Nagy's going to like, coming from the NFL, traits-driven league, he's got numbers to back up how fast he is. He would be an excellent fit here, especially with Ben Arbuckle as his offensive coordinator, too.
Again, folks, if you aren't familiar with the name yet, get familiar. Demari DeJeurn. That's Dezeurn. He fast.
Very.
And Oklahoma looks poised to get him on board as their first wide receiver commit of the 2027 cycle if current trends hold. And that's the type of impact, Grayson, that winning a big football game in prime time over a nationally ranked opponent can have on recruit. Because I don't think anybody going into the weekend would have said, oh, yeah, Demari DeJeurn, better keep an eye on that kid. But here you are coming out of the weekend with a huge lead for one of the premier prospects in the 2027 class that hails from a state that Oklahoma has not recruited terribly frequently or terribly successfully in the last decade. It's not without exceptions. There have been a few Cali Sooners, but it wasn't the pipeline that it once was in the Bob Stoops era, or it hasn't been. Maybe that changes in the 2027 class. Keep in mind, Oklahoma's new director of player personnel, Stacy Ford, is a guy that has spent a lot of time on the West Coast and has a lot of relationships at some of the biggest schools on the West Coast. That will be something to monitor.
Texter in the 918 says, guys, nothing like Ott, LOL. Just quit. Tell me why. Tell me why that was an idiotic take. Go ahead.
Oh, people have takes. Hey, I would expect nothing less on a Monday following a huge win for Oklahoma. Hit us up on the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line, 651-3439. That's 405-651-3439. Everybody's asking about the quarterback. Understandably so. Let's hit a break, and let's talk about the quarterback on the other side. Peyton Houston is 1 week away from announcing his commitment, and he was in the building on Saturday to watch the Sooners defeat the Wolverines. We'll break down where things stand on the other side. Keep it here on the Ref, the home of Sooner fans.
Dustin Dvorak here. Do you eat, sleep, and breathe football? KREF is the only place for the most comprehensive daily analysis of Sooner and college football. We are the football experts. We're the home of Sooner fans. Download the KREF app and listen from anywhere.
For the professional, it's not enough to just possess knowledge. That's why at GMC, we seek to refine it, to wield its power, to redefine its boundaries, while pushing the limits. And we put this knowledge to the test in every GMC Sierra by engineering each one to outperform your expectations, so you know you're getting precision and durability when you need it most. And that's what makes the GMC Sierra the truck worth knowing. We are professional grade. See your Oklahoma GMC dealers.
Sidelined by injury, illness, surgery? Valor Physical Therapy and H2 Health Company can help. A 10-time Community Choice Award winner, let our skilled therapists create a rehabilitation program individualized just for you. Whether it's sports or the activities of life, let Valor get you back in the game. Start now at valorpt.com or call 405-609-3637. No referral needed. Mention the Ref and get a free t-shirt at your first appointment.
Fall and football are here, which brings tons of things to smile about. Craig and Straight Orthodontics wants to help you and your family every step of the way to that beautiful smile. Craig and Straight has 3 conveniently located offices in Norman, Mustang, and South OKC. Check out our website at craigandstraight.com or give us a call to schedule your free consultation. You'll soon be on your way to that smile you've always wanted. At Craig and Straight Orthodontics, we want to see you smile, Oklahoma.
Illicit fentanyl is the deadliest drug threat that our nation has ever experienced. It has killed hundreds of thousands. Many of its victims didn't even know they were getting fentanyl. Such a tragedy. This is Robert De Niro. One of those tragic deaths was my beautiful grandson, Leo. He was just 19 years old. Fentanyl doesn't care, but you do. Join us in the fight against fentanyl. Find us online at ladrfoundation.org.
When I grow up, I want to be a teacher.
Because when I'm a teacher, I can help kids to learn and chase their dreams.
PI, a defect of the immune system, affects millions of children. Early and accurate diagnosis and treatment give children like Sam a chance to achieve their dreams.
It takes a lot of caring teachers to make school fun. It took a lot of caring people to keep my dream alive. And now, because of them, I can be head of the class.
For more information, visit the Jeffrey Modell Foundation at info4pi.org.
This is Peggy Doviak of DM Wealth Management. And as you put together your financial plan, it's important to play defense just like you're playing a football game. First, you need to have an emergency fund, that money laid back in case everything goes wrong. Next, you need to have adequate insurance. And finally, put together an estate plan to make sure those you love inherit the things you want them to get. We'd love to help you plan your prosperity. Check us out at dmwealth.com.
Hi, I'm Ashton and I'm with the nonprofit Fostering Futures. Every day, children are removed from their homes due to abuse and neglect. In these critical moments, we step in to support these vulnerable kids. We work alongside child welfare workers to meet the essential needs of safety, stability, and healthy connections, as well as providing enrichment opportunities. But we can't do this important work without your support. Consider donating at fosteringfuturesok.org. Together, we can offer children a brighter future.
Now that open enrollment for healthcare coverage has ended, there's still several options to consider that just might benefit you. Need to purchase your own health insurance? Confused about Medicare? Considering offering benefits to your employees? Call the agents at Allison Insurance, featuring 70-plus years of combined insurance business experience. They're able to help clients avoid mistakes when purchasing individual or group health insurance. Call Allison Insurance at 800-580-5587 or 745-2968. They are the experts.
Final segment of Locked In here on the Ref, the home of Sooner fans, Parker Thune, Grayson, Singleton. I got a text from a listener on the super secret Textoso line who said, I forgot what it's like for my program to be a media darling. And boy, Oklahoma is a media darling after that win over Michigan. John Mateer is a national media darling. And oh, by the way, his odds are soaring. Soaring? Decreasing? I don't even know what the proper terminology would be because I don't bet. But anyway, his odds are looking better and better
for the Heisman.
In Vegas for the Heisman Trophy. That's how well John Mateer has played over the first 2 weeks of the season and how much of an impression he has left on the national voices of the great sport that we know as college football. Meanwhile, the Sooners are actively in pursuit of the guy that they hope is their next great signal caller. Well, I guess in an ideal world, Michael Hawkins is your next great one, and then it's Bo Bentley after that, and then it's Peyton Houston. But in the 2027 cycle, there is nobody. There is absolutely nobody else at the quarterback position that Oklahoma has demonstrated any interest in other than Peyton Houston, the 4-star signal caller out of Evangel Christian Academy in Shreveport, Louisiana. What are you laughing at?
This guy on the text line that's going back and forth with you.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah, I got a hater on the text line up in Kansas.
Yeah, clearly.
I don't know why he hates me. But he said he's sticking around for Teddy at 3 o'clock. So great news. Even if you hate me, just keep it here for another 15 minutes, and you will hear the former Butt Kiss Award winner Teddy Lehman with all of his takes and insight from the game on Saturday. But Oklahoma had Peyton Houston in the building on Saturday. Grayson. Obviously, the Sooners made the type of statement that they needed to make. We are 1 week away right now from Peyton Houston's commitment. He will announce at 9:30 a.m. next Monday, September 15th. And the national recruiting media machine is starting to come around here. Because they've been pumping USC, right? And this is well known, well documented. The text line I know was talking about it for months. Well, why are all these predictions on USC if OU is really in a good spot with Peyton Houston? I don't know where the USC buzz came from.
I was so confused about that.
I don't know if that's just, shoot, USC feels like they're walking on water with this 2026 class and they're getting everybody. I have no idea where that originated, but here's what I do know. Oklahoma is and has always been in very strong standing with Peyton Houston. I would argue they have led from the day they offered. And if Ben Arbuckle wanted to send a message to Peyton Houston and his folks, that message was sent Saturday. Now, the final wrinkle, if you can call it a wrinkle, is that he is expected to visit LSU this weekend. Here's the difference, though. If that is of concern to you, and I understand why it would be, here's the difference between his visit at Oklahoma and the visit that he's going to take this weekend to LSU. And this kind of underscores the discrepancy in the way Oklahoma has recruited him versus the way that LSU has recruited him. Peyton Houston was the only 2027 quarterback in the building for Oklahoma on Saturday because, of course, they haven't offered or pursued anybody else. When he goes to LSU on Saturday, he will be one of no fewer than 4 2027 quarterbacks on campus, including the number 1 signal caller in the class, according to the Rivals industry rankings, in Elijah Haven, who is from Baton Rouge, as well as Garrett Nussmeier's younger brother, Colton.
Who they already have committed, I believe.
That he is not committed yet.
Okay.
The expectation is that he will be before long. So, if the LSU visit has you feeling apprehensive, just know that going in. And also know that, as we have talked about, there were some things that happened at the very outset of Peyton Houston's recruitment process that put LSU in a hole. And we can talk about that a lot more once he's committed. And, in my opinion, committed to Oklahoma by this time next week. But right now, all you really got to withstand is that final trip to Baton Rouge.
Remember a few months ago, we highlighted on this show that Peyton Houston just wanted to see what Oklahoma's offense is going to look like under Arbuckle. See if they can win big-time marquee games under an offense that is orchestrated by Ben Arbuckle. You already had the pre-standing relationship. All you needed to do was say, hey, look, this is what it's going to look like. This is the value we can bring to you, and this is the value you're going to bring to us. This is the system you're going to run, and that's going to get you to the NFL. Have they not solidified that? So in my mind, 2 + 2 is going to equal 4 here. Unless you screw something up royally between now and September 15th. I think, again, no insider knowledge here, I think this is a done deal. You did what you needed to do. You have displayed a mobile quarterback with a big arm and a gunslinger mentality, and you just allowed him to do his thing. Has it come with some nicks along the way? Sure. But you've won 2 games, and one being in primetime in a weekend where that was the only game every college football fan was going to watch. So you have accomplished everything you needed to accomplish in order to put something in front of Peyton Houston that would say, hey, come here. We know you love us. We know your folks love us. And now we have told you our football side of things is just up there with the relational. I think this is a done deal.
Pastor MC on the text line says, Denny Duran is an old friend from my Louisiana days. Super solid, man. Denny Duran, yeah, he's a legend down there. He's the head football coach at Evangel Christian, so he's Peyton Houston's head coach. I want to say he's like up in his mid-70s now, but a legend in the Louisiana coaching world. And I always love traveling down to Evangel. Great little school. I don't love Shreveport. I think this is well documented.
Yes, it is.
I don't hate it quite as much as Steely hates it, but then again, I wasn't there for the 1999 Independence Bowl. But being at Evangel, being at Bojack's Craft House in downtown Shreveport as well, real solid Cajun restaurant, it makes it a lot more palatable. We've gotten this question a few different times on the text line. People are curious, and understandably so. Parker, can you talk about Peyton Houston's size? He is listed at 5'10". Is he smaller than Kyler? How big of an issue could this be in the SEC? Kyler is a unicorn with his quickness. Here's what I will tell you about Peyton Houston's size. I have seen Peyton Houston in person probably more than any other recruit I've ever covered, because he's been attending these elite events, mega camps, showcases, all of the like, since he was in 8th grade. And so I've seen him a ton over the years. I would say Peyton Houston is 5'11". I don't think he's quite 6 feet, but I would say he is a rock-solid 5'11". And he has modeled his game after Kyler Murray. He wears number 1 just like Kyler Murray does. And that's a guy that he has long looked up to. He is not as fast and as agile as Kyler Murray because no quarterback in the history of humanity is, with the possible exception of Lamar Jackson. But he can really move. Peyton Houston is a threat on the ground. I'll tell you this, though. The reason Ben Arbuckle loves him so much, the reason why he's such a highly regarded prospect and has been such a priority for Oklahoma on the recruiting trail in the 27 cycle, is because he is incredibly good at processing and making wise, correct, sensible decisions with the football. And he also just can make every single throw on the field. Every single throw, effortlessly. The arm talent is there in spades, and the decision-making and the processing is as advanced as any quarterback at that stage of development that I've seen. And look, I'm not that old. I haven't been around as long as some of the folks that are in the recruiting industry that have decades of experience covering this stuff. But I've seen a lot of talented quarterbacks in recent years. I've seen a lot of talented quarterbacks as young football players. I watched Dylan Raiola when he was a sophomore in high school. Peyton Houston is as advanced at that age, mechanically, and in pretty much every other capacity. Cognitively, he is as advanced as any prospect I have seen at his age, to the point where if he went and enrolled on a college campus tomorrow, I don't think he would be out of his depth if he were asked to take the field.
And remember this, too. If you can pair yourself with a creative offensive coordinator that can create throwing lanes for you, that can mitigate the lack of height. I mean, with the way that football's called today, also with the way that quarterbacks are just mobile today, the height factor matters less and less. And Kyler is exhibit A of that.
Kyler's a unicorn, as that texter previously mentioned. There's no question about it. You're never going to see another Kyler Murray in all likelihood. But, what would be a good comp for Peyton Houston? What would be a good player comp?
Does he? He obviously plays on time, so that takes out the 5'11" Russell Wilson comp.
I really haven't thought on that for too terribly long. I'll have to give that some thought. Maybe I can get back to you tomorrow with a solid player comp for Peyton Houston. One Star Big Wink asks, so what does a quarterback battle between Michael Hawkins, Bo Bentley, and Peyton Houston look like? I'll tell you, whoever wins that quarterback battle is going to be in the Heisman conversation. I'll promise you that. But ideally, Hawkins is handing the baton to Bentley, who in turn is handing it to Houston. That said, with Bentley and Houston only a year apart, at some point there will probably be a quarterback battle between those two. And it will be a firefight. No question about it. Somebody, Don in Tulsa asked, how tall is Florida State's quarterback? Tommy Castellanos? Yeah, he's a good player. Johnny Manziel is actually, that might be it.
Johnny Manziel.
That might be it.
I know we're running out of time, but since Johnny Manziel got brought up, let me say this. Let me say this. When I watch John Mateer make those kind of plays like he did, I know a lot of y'all think Baker Mayfield, and that's all good and fine. For some reason, something about it reminds me more of Johnny Manziel than Baker. I don't think either of us would be wrong, but I see a lot of Johnny Manziel in John Mateer.
Johnny Manziel, Broken Arrow Fat Boy, you might have hit the nail on the head. That might be the perfect player comp for Peyton Houston. There's a lot of Johnny Manziel in his game. And fortunately, there's not a lot of Johnny Manziel in his character.
Well,
I would go as far as to say there is none of Johnny Manziel in his character.
That's a relief.
And that's what you want, because a high-character Johnny Manziel would have played the game for a long freaking time.
A lot longer than he did.
A long time. And I think Peyton Houston is going to play the game a long time. Man, we still got so much that we got to talk about throughout the week. Visitors this past Saturday, potential decisions that could go Oklahoma's way in the not-too-distant future. It's going to be a fun week here on Locked In. Looking forward to unpacking all of it with you over the next few days. But for now, we're going to turn things over to Machine Gun McComas and the Buckus Award winner Teddy Lehman. For Grayson Singleton, I am Parker Thune. We will do it all again tomorrow, right here on The Ref, the home of Sooner fans. Don't go anywhere. More to come.